Let's talk a bit about power generation. As soon as you get machines, you need power generation, and the mod pack has several different types of power. The most common part is RE power. As you can see here, I have immersive engineering windmills with generator blocks feeding into medium voltage wires. These are about the first type of power you can acquire. I would suggest you put in the effort to make insulated wires as often as possible, because if you touch uninsulated wires, you get damaged. There is a way around this beautiful Faraday armor, which is about as durable in combat as wet toilet paper. Interesting, there's still stuff in there. So, there are also water wheels, where you can devise a contraption that will let you use the power of continuous moving water to turn it into electricity. That will power your first machines. Later on, you need to find the black gold oil. You need to refine this oil down, and you get gasoline, lubricant, and diesel. The diesel has no other use and can be burned in such a beauty. The diesel generator. The diesel generator can also burn different fuels, but in the beginning of at the end of the early game, this is your main power source. It will give 5,000-ish RF per tick. Later on, one of the best fuels you can make is biodiesel, which is regrowable, other than normal oil, which is not regrowable. So most people switch. You can also take natural oil and use the Buildcraft refinery and heat process, cracking process, to make dense and ultra dense fuels. These dense and ultra dense fuels then can be put in a combustion engine. There are several different types of combustion engine in this mod pack, and these are the best I have available, and they produce RF power. You can just put on one of these power switches, power connectors. But as you can see, these are filled with ethanol, which is different from biodiesel and can be made in a very small footprint, which has its very own usefulness. The thing is, these engines are multi-purpose, because these engines also accept the Buildcraft power pipes. Why would you need to use Buildcraft power pipes? Well, there are a few machines that only accept Buildcraft power pipes, like these lasers. And if you are doing B stuff, then alveoli blocks like the humidifier and the cooling fan and the heating, they can only connect to Kinesis pipes, which is why I made this setup. Then here we have a different type of power. This powered rolling machine is powered with a Railcraft steam turbine and Railcraft steam boiler. I rarely use it anymore. and it was a pain to make, but it is another different power system. Then, of course, there is the ME system, which has its own cabling, but you can just make a power acceptor and put in the usual RF power or EU power. I did it here to buffer it with a battery, but you can just put on a socket and it will convert the power. That one's easy. And the last power net I know is Project Red. Project Red uses electrotene power, which you can either get from an electrotene oven, or electrotene generator, which burns electrotene and turns it into power, or from these solar cells, which need to be in the open. And these have the interesting thing that the further away you are from the power generation, you see the voltage drops. Slightly, but a bit. And the further your cables are, the more power you lose. So these are also not too useful. Or rather, very niche. Also, there are things with the immersive engineering wires. If you overload them, they will burn through. So if you try to put too much power through an MV or an HV wire, it will just burn through. And it will not tell you. The second thing is that you need to be careful with pollution, which is, for example, why I have this oven, this furnace, tucked in here. So all pollution can only be generated here, floats on top of here, and goes away. Because generated pollution will cut wires. And so you will lose access to your power. Then later in the game, there is ultra high voltage, which needs these very, very big transformers to move around, and these extremely expensive cables. But with that, you can move several thousand ticks, energy units per tick. And where does my energy come from? Well, it comes from dams. Dams are mid-game options to generate power. You need this special concrete and a dam inlet, and they are huge. Like, there's a dam inlet, and this pipe is giving the water to this generator, whereas this generator is fed by this little pipe. So all of these two walls just feed 4 generators. But they make power constantly, and why did I build them instead of other power generation? They don't produce lag. With 6,000 rounds per minute, this thing on paper generates 1,000 EU per tick. I think Austin had other things in mind, and the problem is there is not really a tool to gauge how much power really is generated, but they should each in reality generate about 5,000 RF or EU per tick. Thing is, they're very, very expensive to set up and use a lot of space. So each mode of power generation has its own problem. I'm now in chapter 8, and I'm pretty sure there will be better forms of power generation that use advanced materials, but I'm not there yet. So yeah, that's an overview of power.